Imagine being told you're a star before you've actually become one. Before the trophies. Before the headlines. Before the world even knows your name. Sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly what happened to one young tennis player. In a quiet photo shoot under the sunlight of Madrid, a camera captured a moment that would later look less like a magazine cover and more like a prediction. At the time, she wasn't a Grand Slam champion. She wasn't ranked among the sport's biggest names. Most casual sports fans had never even heard of her. Yet one of America's oldest and most prestigious lifestyle magazines made a decision that stunned insiders. They put Alex Eala on the cover. And what happened next would leave many people wondering the same thing. Did they see something the rest of the world missed? Because over the following months, reality started catching up with the prediction. But before we get there, you need to understand just how unusual this decision really was. For nearly 2 centuries, Town and Country had built its reputation around royalty, social icons, philanthropists, and cultural elites. Athletes weren't its focus. Tennis players certainly weren't. In fact, throughout its long history, the magazine had never featured a tennis player on its digital cover. Not once. Then suddenly, that changed. And it changed for a 20-year-old from the Philippines who hadn't yet achieved the kind of results that normally earn this level of attention. That's what made the decision so risky. Because magazines don't usually gamble. They wait. They wait for trophies. They wait for championships. They wait until success is undeniable. It's the safe approach. When stars like Coco Gauff, Naomi Osaka, and Sloane Stephens appeared in major lifestyle publications, they had already proven themselves on the biggest stages in tennis. The accomplishments came first. The magazine covers came later. That's how the system works. But Alex's story was different. The cover arrived before the breakthrough. Before the major title. Before the ranking surge. Before the validation. And that raised a fascinating question. Was this an incredible act of foresight? Or was it a mistake waiting to happen? Because once that cover went live, the countdown began. Every match mattered. Every tournament became part of the evaluation. Every result either strengthened the magazine's decision or made it look more questionable. The pressure wasn't just on Alex anymore. The publication had placed its reputation behind a prediction. Now the tennis world would decide whether that prediction was right. Months passed. Then came Indian Wells, one of the biggest events outside the Grand Slams. A place where rising stars often reveal whether they truly belong among the elite. Alex stepped onto the court carrying expectations that hadn't existed a year earlier. And she delivered. She reached the round of 16. A historic achievement. The first Filipino player ever to do so at the tournament. It was a breakthrough moment. A sign that something special might be developing. But it still wasn't enough to silence the doubters. A round of 16 finish is impressive. It's encouraging. But it's not proof of greatness. Not yet. The skeptics remained. The questions remained. And the pressure only grew stronger. Then came the grass court season. Historically one of the most difficult transitions in professional tennis. Grass rewards precision, timing, experience. For many young players, it's a surface that exposes weaknesses rather than creating opportunities. Yet somehow, Alex kept moving forward. She reached the final in Eastbourne. Suddenly, the story became harder to ignore. Now there was evidence. Now there was momentum. But once again, there was one thing missing. The trophy. A final appearance is exciting. But sports can be cruel. Second place often feels more painful than losing earlier because it means you came so close. And that's where the story became truly fascinating. Because everything was building toward one moment. One opportunity. One chance to finally justify all the belief that had been placed in her before the results existed. The Birmingham Open. A championship match. A chance to make history. And at first, things didn't go according to plan. Alex lost the opening set. Immediately, doubt returned. You could almost feel the tension. Had the dream run finally ended? Was the pressure becoming too much? Would this be another near miss? But champions reveal themselves in moments like these. Not when everything is easy. Not when everything goes according to script. When adversity arrives. And Alex responded. She fought back. She won the second set. Then the third. And when the final point was over, everything changed. Her first WTA singles title. A career-defining victory. A breakthrough that transformed possibility into reality. The same player who had once been questioned for receiving a major magazine cover before proving herself was now holding a professional trophy above her head. The rankings climbed. The recognition grew. The confidence exploded. Suddenly, that controversial magazine cover didn't look reckless anymore. It looked visionary, almost prophetic, as if someone had seen the future before anyone else. But here's what makes this story even more powerful. Long before the title, long before the rankings, long before the spotlight intensified, Alex had said something remarkable. She explained that the most important thing she could give back to her country was inspiration. At the time, it sounded like a hopeful statement from a young athlete chasing a dream. Today, it sounds completely different, because she wasn't just representing herself anymore. She was representing possibility. Millions of Filipinos saw someone who looked like them breaking barriers that had never been broken before. People who had never followed tennis suddenly became invested. Children started imagining bigger futures. Fans saw proof that international success wasn't reserved for athletes from traditional tennis powers. And that's when the story became larger than sports, larger than rankings, larger than trophies. It became cultural. It became personal. It became a symbol of what can happen when someone receives belief before the world is ready to give it, of what can happen when opportunity meets preparation, and perhaps most importantly, of what can happen when someone refuses to let expectations become limitations. Because despite the success, the journey wasn't perfect. Only days after winning her first title, Alex suffered a difficult loss, a straight sets defeat. A reminder that tennis never allows anyone to stay comfortable for long. Momentum can disappear quickly. Success doesn't guarantee the next victory. And that's exactly why this story feels so real. The magazine cover didn't protect her. The trophy didn't protect her. Nothing could. Because every athlete eventually faces setbacks. The difference is that now, the entire world was watching. And maybe that's the greatest lesson hidden inside this story. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about continuing forward despite it. 10 months earlier, a photograph introduced Alex Eala to a wider audience. Today, that photograph means something entirely different. Not because the image changed, but because she changed. She turned possibility into progress, belief into results, prediction into proof. And perhaps the most fascinating part? Her story still isn't finished. The next chapter hasn't been written yet. The next breakthrough could be right around the corner. The next defining moment could arrive at any tournament. Which means that photo taken in Madrid wasn't a conclusion. It was a beginning. A snapshot of potential before the world could fully see it. A reminder that sometimes, belief arrives before evidence. Sometimes people see greatness before the scoreboard confirms it. And every once in a while, someone spends the next few months proving that belief was justified all along. The question now is simple. How far can Alex Eala go from here? And if this was only the beginning, what happens when the rest of the world finally catches up? But what makes this story truly extraordinary isn't the title. It's what happened before the title ever existed. Think about it. How many young athletes receive this level of attention before they've fully broken through? Very few. Most spend years chasing recognition, years trying to convince people they belong, years fighting to be noticed. Alex experienced something different. Someone noticed first. And that created a level of pressure most rising stars never have to deal with. Because once a major publication tells the world you're special, every performance gets examined differently. Every victory feels expected. Every loss feels magnified. The spotlight becomes impossible to ignore. And that's exactly what Alex had to learn. The attention wasn't temporary anymore. People were watching, waiting, wondering whether she could actually become the player everyone was starting to believe she could be. What's fascinating is that some of the earliest believers weren't journalists at all. They were players. Athletes who compete against future stars often recognize greatness before the rankings do, before the statistics do, before the headlines do. And that's exactly what happened here. Months before Alex's rise became obvious, former Wimbledon champion Barbora Krejcikova had already seen something special. She watched the way Alex struck the ball, the way she attacked the lines, the way she carried herself against elite competition. And afterward, she made a prediction. She described Alex as part of the next generation, a player she believed would become very good in the years ahead. At the time, it was just another post-match observation. One comment among thousands made throughout a tennis season. But looking back now, it feels different. Because those words arrived before the results, before the ranking surge, before the trophy, before the magazine cover. It's almost as if multiple people in completely different worlds were seeing the same thing at the same time. One from inside professional tennis, one from inside media, both reaching the same conclusion. That Alex Eala wasn't simply another promising player. She was becoming something much bigger. And that's where the story shifts from sports to culture. Because while tennis fans were focused on rankings and tournaments, something else was happening behind the scenes. Back in the Philippines, Alex's success was creating a wave of excitement unlike anything the country had experienced in modern tennis. For many fans, this wasn't just another athlete winning matches. This was representation. This was history. This was someone opening doors that had never been opened before. Every victory carried extra weight. Every achievement felt larger than a scoreboard. And when her magazine cover appeared, the reaction reflected that. People weren't celebrating because she had won a Grand Slam. She hadn't. They weren't celebrating because she was #1 in the world. She wasn't. They were celebrating because someone from their country was being recognized on a stage that rarely featured people who looked like them. That matters. More than many people realize. Because visibility changes things. It changes perceptions. It changes expectations. It changes what young people believe is possible. Somewhere in the Philippines, a child saw that cover and started dreaming bigger. Somewhere else, another young athlete began believing that international success wasn't out of reach. Those moments don't show up in rankings. You can't measure them in statistics, but they matter. Sometimes they matter more than trophies, because trophies eventually collect dust. Inspiration keeps moving. It spreads. It reaches people you've never met. And years later, its impact continues growing. That's why Alex's earlier comment about inspiring her country feels so powerful now. She wasn't speaking about some distant future. She was already doing it. Every match, every interview, every achievement, every setback. People were paying attention. And that's another important part of this story. The setbacks. Because every great sports story eventually encounters reality. And reality is rarely perfect. The Birmingham title was incredible. The celebration was deserved. The momentum felt unstoppable. Then came the loss at Queen's Club. Just days later. Straight sets.
No dramatic comeback. No fairy tale ending.
Just a reminder of how unforgiving professional tennis can be. One week you're holding a trophy. The next week you're walking off the court defeated. That's the nature of the sport. And strangely enough, that's what makes Alex's journey more compelling. Not less. Because perfection is boring. Perfection doesn't feel real. Growth does. Struggle does. Watching someone navigate both success and disappointment feels human. And that's exactly where Alex found herself. Standing between breakthrough and expectation. Between achievement and the next challenge. Between becoming a star and proving she can remain one. The truth is, her story is entering its most important phase right now. Breaking through is difficult. Staying there is even harder. The tennis world is filled with talented players who enjoyed one magical run. One incredible season. One unforgettable moment. But sustaining success? That's where legends separate themselves. That's where careers are defined. And that's the challenge waiting for Alex. The rankings will continue changing. The competition will become tougher. The expectations will grow heavier. Opponents will study her game more carefully. Nothing gets easier from here. If anything, it becomes harder. Much harder. Yet that's also what makes the future so exciting. Because for the first time, people aren't asking whether Alex Eala belongs. That conversation is over. She answered it. Now they're asking how far she can go. Can she break into the top 20? The top 10? Can she become a Grand Slam contender? Can she become the player many early believers thought she could be? Nobody knows. And that's exactly why people will keep watching. Because the most compelling stories aren't the ones with obvious endings. They're the ones still being written. Every tournament becomes another chapter. Every match becomes another test. Every victory and every defeat adds something new to the narrative.